Good morning, this is Nicholas from Gator Gaming, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I did not think EBO2 and OP11 for us in the TCG are gonna be that close to each other, but yeah, here we are. OP11 is already pre-released out, and I thought I had a couple more weeks or a couple more months, well, not a couple more months, a couple more weeks, to make an updated list, but it turns out, no, OP11's already out for us, and that Arlong deck profile that I just made like literally like 5-6 days ago, it's already outdated because all the new Gym Bay cards just came out, which is kind of hilarious. So yeah, let's just get straight into this. So if you aren't familiar, this is Arlong. He is a what's called 4 life leader, yellow green, and he has the ability once a turn when you have two dogs. Oh, he's actually once a turn. He's actually kind of crazy at that. He's basically once per attack. You have 2 Dawn attached to him. When he attacks, you may rest an additional Dawn and play a 4 cost or less character with trigger from your hand, or which is absolutely free. So basically allows you to cheat out characters from your hand with 4 costs or less, as long as they have the trigger ability, which is really, really strong. Think of him as a green-yellow Dolphamingo, and he's an absolutely great leader. I'm sad that he's getting rotated in a year, but I'm going to try to make the best of him. I'm going to make him competitive as hell. So, yeah, let's get straight into the monsters. So, first things first, we're playing 4 copies of Hody Jones. If you're familiar with green decks, you should know Hody Jones is one of the best monsters in the game. Basically, he has Rush, and then Hay on play. You get to rest any of your opponent's 2 cards, either 2 Dawn or 2 of their characters, and then you lose a life, which does suck, so he's a risky play, but he definitely helps you push for game, and he's just one of the best cards in the deck. So definitely 4 copies of the Hody Jones. We're also playing 4 copies of the new Arlong. This is a new card that just came out. This card is absolutely amazing. So basically, it has the ability that if your leader is Fishman type and you have 3 or less life, and your opponent has 5 or more rested cards, you give this character -3 cost, which sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. It basically just says, hey, look, if you have 3 or less life, which you're a 4 life leader, so you're taking a life, and if your opponent has 5 or more rested cards, which if they have like 5 Dawn rested because they play a 5 cost character, that counts. Their leader also counts, and also any of their characters count. So Dawn characters and their leader count as rested cards. As long as there's at least 5 on your opponent's field, this character is reduced by 3 costs, which is actually really good because it means your leader can play it off its ability, because it has a trigger that says rest one of your opponent's characters with 4 or less. So basically, on your 3 to 4, on your 3 turn, what's called, I would say like your 5 Dawn turn or your 6 Dawn turn if you're going second, you should be able to play one of these out for free, which feels really good. He's just a 7k vanilla, but that's actually really good for your deck because basically, he cannot be gravity bladed because he's still a 7 cost on field. And one of the biggest issues with his deck was always that because you're playing a whole bunch of 4 cost characters, it was very easy for decks like Black to remove him. However, if you're spamming out 7 cost characters, it makes it a lot harder for them, especially if you're being an aggressive leader. We're also still playing 2 copies of the Smoker. Smoker is still a great card. It just doesn't have enough counter, and if it did, I would play 4 of it. It's a 5 cost 7k that has Banish. And then after you may set 1 Dawn for your Dawn deck is active. You can't restand Dawn for the rest of the turn. This is still a great card. If I can play 60 card deck, I would play more, but every One Piece deck has to be 50, and sadly, I can't play more Smokers. I wish I could. Next, we're playing 4 copies of Santoriu. Santoriu is still one of the best 2Ks in the game. Basically, he's just a vanilla that says trigger, trash 1 card from your hand, play him for free. You can't play him off leader ability because he's a 5 cost, but that's still fine. He's still a great trigger. We're also still playing 4 copies of Frankie because Frankie's amazing. And we're also still playing 2 copies of Edison. Now, I have realized in the comments that the yellow Jimbei 2K that actually came out in EBO2 and not OP11. I thought it came out in OP11. It actually came out in EBO2. And because of that, I have not been able to find it. So, I think in a pure, an Arlong deck should be playing that Jimbei. It's a 2K. I'll put it on screen right now. So personally, I'll probably cut 2 Edisons and 2 Frankies for it. And I'll have 2 Frankies, 4 Jinbeis, and 4 Santorius. But right now, this is the build I got because I did not realize that Jinbei already came out. That's my bad. Thank you, comments, for letting me know. Next, we are playing 3 copies of Buggy. He was a 4 of, however, because he doesn't have counter, we do just want the ability to counter out of cards. If you're going against an equally aggressive deck like lovely Revolutionary Army Bella Betty, we're going to need more counter. And also the fact that his trigger does not play him does suck. But he does rest 4 or less, and so a lot of resting of your opponent's characters. Same thing goes for Kikinojo. Kikinojo is still a great card. However, it does not have a counter, and for that, it is a 4/6. However, if it ever dies and your opponent has 3 or less life, you gain a life, which feels really good. Also, its trigger does play itself for free, which is really, really good. We're also, of course, playing 3 copies of Basil Hawkins. The reason why I only play 3 copies of Basil Hawkins, even though he has a counter, is just because of the simple fact that his trigger just says draw 2, trash 1. And he's not an actual play himself for free. That is it for these guys. That's not all the triggers that actually do play themselves. We're playing 4 copies of Sanji, who's just one of the best yellow cards in the game. Not only is he a blocker, we can play him off the leader ability, and his trigger plays himself. We're also still playing 4 copies of Cracker because Cracker is amazing. Great card, absolutely fantastic. And we're also still playing 4 copies of Nekomamushi, just because he has counter and he has a trigger that plays himself, which feels really good. I'm going to move everything up a little bit because I still have some more cards, so don't mind me. That'll work. That's enough space, I think. Anyway, let's go over the last few cards. We're playing 3 copies of Inarashi, just because he's not as good as Nekomamushi, but he's still a 4-cost 5K that can play himself off leader. And we're also, of course, playing 3 copies of New Lord of the Coast. This card is actually really, really great for the deck. Basically says, on play, up to one of your opponent's characters will not become active until the next refresh day. So it freezes characters that are rested. And its trigger says, KO to one of your opponent's rested characters of 3 or less, which is also just really, really good. And we're also playing 3 copies of the Arlong from EVO2. This card makes characters not able to stand if your leader is Fishman or East Blue type. He also restands the Dawn, so he's just a 2-cost character, which feels really good. So that is it for my list. I'm still tweaking it out. There's still be some Jinbeis in here. But other than that, I'm having a great time. Hope you all enjoy. Like and subscribe. Expect a lot more videos for One Piece for OP11. Until next time, see ya.